spread one love, okay? Thanks for tuning in to us, the MNM Show.
MNM Show.
And we are back with another fresh live episode of the MNM Show.
Yeah. All right. Jazzy.
Just kind of came out that way today.
Jazzy.
Welcome to our viewers. Thanks for tuning in to another super fresh, live, quirky, who knows where we'll go episode of the MNM Show. Coming at you live from the One Love Massive headquarters in historic Shaw, Washington, D.C. Bloop, bloop. Shout out, D.C. What is that?
I don't know. What was that? That's
Definitely.
so amazing. I think we got a lot of things going on.
Oh, it sounded like some group Kegel exercises over there.
Oh, that was your voice.
So, that was me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for our viewers, before we went live, we were just talking about doing your Kegel exercises and how important they are, and that apparently they're not just for women, they're for men too. But, you know, we'll have to get a Kegel expert on the show so we can explore that. But I want to know, how are you ladies doing this week?
Do I have to sing my response?
No, but I will tell you, I'm having a really good week, and I'm happy. And
She's
when
smoking some really good weed.
when I'm happy, I sing just little jingles and make everything into a jingle. So I've been singing at home all week. My husband is, I think, probably annoyed with it, but I'm happy. I finally feel good this week. You know, I'm like excited about, I'm excited about my baby, but I haven't been excited about being pregnant. This part has been a challenge. But I feel generally good this week and just happy and stuff. So I've been singing.
What's that like? I'm just kidding.
It's so good to be happy. So yeah, for real. How are you ladies doing? What's been going
My
on?
life sucks. Fuck everything. But kind of like you, more or less.
You can make a blues jingle. My
Oh,
life
man.
sucks.
How was the cannabis
Boom,
festival for
boom,
you?
boom,
I
boom.
never got a chance to come by your booth.
I know. We were
So busy.
cranking the whole day, man.
Yeah.
We had so much fun. We set up, we had a corner tent, and we set like the table along on a diagonal, and we set up and did a live stream for like 2 hours. And we were trying to get some people to do interviews and stuff, but everybody was hella busy. So we basically just set up 3 mics and like talked shit with people as they walked by, and like complimented people on their clothes, and like shouted out neighborhoods, and talked about Mike's Tinder profile a little bit.
What?
Where-
Mike hates me every time I bring that up. But
DJ Mike Phillips is
yes.
single, everyone.
I offered a
Check
free
him out.
joint for anybody who could
Hashtag
bring
give
me
Mike a
Mike's
chance.
profile. Yeah, hashtag give Mike a chance.
Hashtag do DJ Mike.
He's a pretty cool guy.
He is pretty awesome.
He's handsome,
yeah.
talented.
He's tall.
That's
ladies.
right. I haven't seen his Tinder profile, but if anybody can show it to me, I'll give you a free joint. Offer still stands from National Cannabis Festival.
Swipe, swipe, swipe.
Awesome. So you had a good time.
It was
building
awesome.
community, meeting people. I saw the pictures online. There were definitely some beautiful people out in the District of
Yeah.
Columbia.
It was awesome. It was a great day. It was a great win for Caroline and her team that worked so hard all year. It was a great win for the cannabis community, for legislation, education, the end of prohibition. I really, really fuck with Caroline a lot. Like, I feel like, not only is it the last independently owned music festival, well, not Funk Parade and National Cannabis Festival, but Funk Parade isn't like a traditional festival, but they're both independently owned and operated. And the only ones that haven't sold out to corporate dollars, that haven't, done that whole routine. And so I have such tremendous respect, and Caroline does a lot of education and community stuff, and I think it's just really important to you know, we're trying to get weed legalized, and just doing a bunch of pop-ups or covering your Lexus in a weed wrap is not really helping the patients in this town. You know what I mean? It's like things have to be done a certain way so that we can like advocate for ourselves and get the medicine that we need, and also enjoy getting high. You know what I mean? But they need to be both, and I feel like Caroline, by, you know, going to RFK and, you know, doing that, you know, on federal property, it says a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, to do a weed event on government property?
Yeah, that's major.
Dude.
Because it's still totally illegal in the federal, you know, arena and federal property. So that's
It's a big
that's
deal.
major. Yeah.
And
yeah.
she's getting them to, like, change their perspective on it, even if it's only because they're making money off it and they can see that now. Like, whatever it takes to open that door, let's just fucking open it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Caroline is doing that. So props to her. You know, that's a big risk to take, too. Like, when you're working with the government on weed, they could just shut you down anytime if they really want to.
Anytime, for any reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Past, present, or future.
Yep. So yeah, shout out to National Cannabis
Awesome.
Fest.
I'm glad that went well. My pregnant ass did not attend. I was at home, but I wanted to go. And I'm curious, how was the Cypress Hill performance and the CI performance?
It was great. It was great. I have to say, though, it was the most subdued crowd ever. Like, I walked through and Cypress Hill was performing, and people were, like, not even, like, nodding their heads.
What?
But it's because everybody was so high at that point, doing dabs all day and eating edibles and stuff. Like, so they were there. They were standing in the audience for him, but nobody was, like, dancing. Nobody was
chilling.
Nobody was, like, getting a nice.
She got some head nods. There was no mosh pit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People weren't.
They were chilling. They were chilling.
But people came out. It was like the biggest cannabis festival ever, and great layout. I mean, it was awesome all the way around, honestly.
That's good. I'm glad that you had a good weekend with that, and folks came out, and
Thanks.
it was a good time. I'm glad the weather held up,
Yeah.
as well.
Best weather yet for cannabis
Yeah,
festival.
yeah, because you never know in D.C. How about you, J Mills? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I had a wonderful 420 weekend. I went to the policy summit. I was at the festival, working with Women Grow. Shout outs to Women Grow. It was just really dope. Shout outs to Caroline for having the vision to build this and, you know, pushing through and fighting to make it something that really covers the culture of cannabis. Yeah, man. Looking forward to next year. Onward and upward, bigger and better. 420 will actually be on a Saturday.
Hey.
I think there might be a crooked floor in this room. Jeez.
Look at that.
Yeah. Back to you, Nikki.
Back to me. All right. Well, I wanted to hear a little bit more. Molly, you were talking about a bid that One Love Massive was trying to get, and it got taken from under your feet. What's going on? What's
no,
up with that?
not that. The NOMA bid is an organization, I don't know if it's a nonprofit or not, but they're specifically focused on the NOMA neighborhood, you know, which people named because they weren't comfortable with the names that it already had, so that's kind of problematic from Jump Street. But it's an organization that's designed to create artistic and creative and art spaces out of vacant spaces, and to enrich the community and enhance the community through art projects and things like that. So the NOMA, a lot of cities and neighborhoods have bids. So there's like the Capitol Hill bid, there's the NOMA bid, there's the Shaw bid, and those are like the people that like clean up the neighborhood and like scrape the stickers off the backs of signs, and the dudes with like the blue trash cans and the yellow jackets, like those are usually like by the bid, you know? And so NOMA bid in particular is responsible for Story Park over in which was
over in NOMA.
over in Trinidad, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but or you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, super cool, like empty parking lot, and they put a whole bunch of graffiti on the walls, and then they locked the gates and left it locked for 3 years. So I'm not really sure, like, it's been a problem for me for a long time. Like, they created a community art space.
Yeah, it was open before.
Except you can't go inside of it. Like, I ride my bike past it every single day, and unless there was an event, it was locked. So it just is like, you know, you just have to really question, like, you know,
What is it for?
what's really good. But, you know, I don't have enough time to, like, really investigate and figure all these things out. And I'm not here to, like, take anybody down or, like, that's not what I want to spend my time doing, is, like, making sure everyone's doing their job. But I just always kind of found it a little bit suspect. But at the same time, I have some, you know, a couple people that work for the NOMA bid or at least one that I know of that I really respect. And so I'm going to assume that it's a good organization that's trying to do some good work. So fast forward to, well, that sounds pretty cool. Fast forward to last week, I got tagged or a friend of mine sent me a message where a woman who works for the NOMA bid came up with a T-shirt that says DC as heck. First of all, young, like, DC as heck, like, come on, man, it's so bad, like, I can't even get mad about it, because it's like, what are you doing with your life? Like, DC is heck, like, seriously. But the bad part about it is that I know this woman. You know, I've had her phone number in my phone for, like, 4 years now. You know what I mean? Like, that's how well, like, I know this woman, right? Not super well, but well enough to have her number. Never had any issues, and then, last year, we asked her solidarity on a bike ride to stop the harassment of women on bikes, a not cool bro ride, because at the time she led DC Bike Party. And she just, like, didn't even refuse. She was just so slippery about it, but, like, wouldn't say no, but was saying no. And we kind of got into it, and I was like, hey, man, just say no. You know what I mean? Like, your ride is the most offensive. Like, your ride is the one causing all the problems. All the other leaders in the community, Color Cycling, Critical Mass, the Cruiser Ride, all the other bike rides in the city, like, got together, and we approached her about it, and she was just like, yeah, sure, you can leave a comment on the event page, like, just wouldn't, like, was so slippery, and like, yeah, thanks, okay, cool, bye, but it's like, bitch, are you saying yes or no? Like, just, like, if you don't want to do it, just say no, like, you can't, like, sometimes you have to be the bad guy, like, you know, if you don't want to do it, say you don't want to do it, but own your shit about it, you know, so we kind of got into a little conversation about it, and then she blocked me. So,
ooh.
Right. And then she, like, cried to a friend of mine that I was, like, attacking her. And it was just really unnecessary and really disappointing. You know what I mean? Like, when you have the leaders of the bike community coming to you and asking you for some solidarity, and, like, that's how you behave. So I kind of wrote her off last year. And then all of a sudden, a week ago, she pops up again. So it's like, you know, she totally knows with the DC as heck. So it's like you totally know my brand. You totally know me. Like, what are you doing? And then she played the same thing when I texted her and was like, what are you doing, Leah? And she was like, who is this? I'm like, Molly. She was like, oh, who? I'm like, bitch, we've texted before. Like, what? Like, you can't, like, just slide out of everything. You know what I mean? Like,
is it the same font?
What's that?
Is it the same font? Like, is there clear creative?
No, it's not the same font, but it's just like, like, come on, man. Like, DC as heck, like, it's not like a trademark issue where I can be like, oh, you stole my exact design. It's just an integrity issue. And you work for a company that's supposed to enrich the community, in particular in creative and art spaces, and you think it's appropriate to steal from an artist?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because, like, well, I don't know. I kind of wanted to talk about this on the show at some point anyway, is what does DC as fuck mean to each of us, you know? And, like, when I hear DC as heck, it sounds like DC as fuck, but, like, the PG version of it, the non-explicit version. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of lame a little bit.
Well, and I purposely, like, people have been telling me for 3 years now to do, like, a DC is, like, F with an like, asterisk or whatever. And I'm like, no, man. Like, I'm not censoring this. Like, it doesn't have to be for everybody. If you don't like it, don't buy it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to water it down for people. We have done DC as funk to show love for the funk parade and for go-go and funk and everything else. Like, that I will do. But that's where I draw the line. I'm not censoring myself ever, you know? And so it's bothersome on that level. But, you know, I got into, like, a conversation this morning because there's a Kelly Towles, who's a muralist in D.C. He's doing this thing called Powwow, which is like an international mural thing. And so our muralists from all over the world come to D.C. and paint. So a lot of those big murals that you see just like pop up randomly, like, are done by artists who don't live here and are also artists who get paid and don't live here. And so he had posted, hey, I'm looking for some press support, whatever. And I was like, cool, are you going to hire some local artists this year? And he was like, yeah, we have an equal balance every year. And I was like, well, in 2016, there was 4 local artists and like 14 non-local artists. So maybe I'm wrong, but from where I'm sitting, it's kind of hard to tell. And he was like, no, it's equally balanced, a half and half. In fact, last year was more locals than not. And I was like, cool, that's reassuring. I hope that I'm wrong, but it's definitely kind of difficult when you just see the same artist over and over getting paid, and the same 2 men getting all the mural work in DC over and over again, and it just brought up a topic for me because Powwow is sponsored by NOMA, and it's paid for by real estate developers. So the bigger picture is, why are real estate developers infusing money into the art community, on behalf of the NOMA bid, which apparently is cool with their staff members stealing from the community that they're supposed to be enriching, and then they're taking developer dollars to pay artists who don't live here.
Womp womp.
And it's really problematic for me, and it's really upsetting for me. And immediately I was like attacked by another woman who like posted this really snarky meme, and it's just like, I'm not sure what you expect when you post this snarky meme. It's like, so I put it all out there, and it's just frustrating, Nikki. It's frustrating to like, sometimes I just feel like I'm going fucking crazy in this town.
Like you're taking crazy pills.
Like, because I react to like people stealing from me, or I react to like obvious, like unfair, like fucked up shit, and like I'm the angry woman in the room, or I need to be calmed down, or I get gaslit, or I get told how to speak, how to think, how to feel, when to say things, what to say, how to say them. And it's just like but meanwhile developers are paying other fucking people. Meanwhile, like we're taking blood money and like giving it to other people. Like meanwhile, you know what I mean? It's just the same thing over and over again, and it just seems to be this same community that's just like, and I know this is old hat. Like I know plenty of people have been feeling this for a super long time, and myself included. But it's just so hard to be in the city sometimes and see so much changing, and people like Leah getting away with just stealing shit from people. People getting away with taking developer dollars, like people getting away with forming nonprofits that have these community-based bullshit-ass mission statements that they don't even adhere to, Where's the...
welcome to my world.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to Black America.
Right. It's certainly nothing new at all, you know what I mean? But it's just so hard to watch it in the city. And it's not about, like, my design. Because at the end of the day, like, what people need to understand is, like, fuck my design. It's not about that. What matters about the DC is Fuck shirts is that every shirt sold supports this organization and the artists in it. That's not like a separate bank account. That goes straight into One Love Massive. So every time people buy shirts like National Cannabis Festival, a lot of people bought shirts and hoodies. That really helped. I paid the rent with that money this week, So when people like Leah, who is the like community director for the NOMA bid, steals that design, she's taking away from Mike's pocket, Nick's pocket, all the artists in the collective. And I don't think people fully really understand like what DC as Fuck means to One Love Massive and the good that it actually does. And it's great that I just happen to come up with a catchy phrase that people like for a limited period of time that can help me do that,
So actually, what does DC as Fuck mean to you or to the collective?
I mean, I think everybody has their own definition of it. For me, DC as Fuck is just like some shit that's just like undeniably DC that you gotta either love it or just learn to love it because it's what it is, DC as Fuck, like, like having 15 people in here cranking out go-go, like blasting it through the airways, like that's DC as Fuck. Like, I mean... it's like an infinite love for your city, but recognizing that it's like bumps and bruises and still loving it. That's what it means for me, Like I love DC because I can go anywhere, and if I say hi to somebody, they will say hi back to me, and we can have a dialogue, and we can like exchange energy with one another and keep it moving. Like, to me, that's like infinitely DC, and why I love this town. It's DC as fuck. Like, I love that shit. You know what I mean? But I know for everybody, DC as fuck is, you know, means something different. But the actual shirt itself, you know, like when you buy one of those, or you buy a grinder, or you buy anything, you know, from One Love, you're directly supporting a whole lot of people that live in this town, you know, that are native Washingtonians, you know, and it's really, you know, it's just it's bigger than the shirts, man. It's fuck the shirts, man. Fuck Leah, fuck all that. It's the bigger picture of like, why are we selling everything to developers, and like, where's all this money going? You know, where's all this fucking money going?
That's what we're gonna find out when we win the election and demand some more transparency from people in the government, because that's what I want to know too.
Where's it all going?
Where's it all going? Because it's not transparent right now. Jay Mills, what does DC as fuck mean to you?
I think about college. I think about Howard. I think about 2003 and 4. And when it wasn't just DC as fuck, it was Philly as fuck. It was like, that was a thing to be where you were from for real. And with many of these different metropolitan cities, there's this surrounding area that oftentimes will claim that central part. So I just think about that time when we were all there at Howard, and you had these different places, and how Atlanta are you? You'd be like, oh, you're not really from Decatur. The whole time, you know, you would get called out in these conversations, and it was all about, you know, I think of DC as fuck. I think of through and through pure. You passed the test. You really are a Washingtonian. I think about culture. I think about how interesting it is to be a native Washingtonian, and I don't know. I think about, like, you know, how long would I have to live in Japan before I could say that I was Japanese, and how culture kind of is respected or disrespected based upon the respect given to the people and the place that you were in. So when I see DC as fuck, it's a wonderful thing in a place where I also hear people say that nobody lives in DC. Nobody's from here. It's a transient city. You know, no.
You can find things to love about it if you really look.
Yeah, I can't even laugh right now.
You remember that one?
I hear it, and it infuriates me so much because I'm here and I'm real as fuck. And I'm DC as fuck.
Straight up.
Straight
Facts.
up.
Thanks for sharing. For folks who are wondering, I'm curious what DC as fuck means to you. Feel free to comment in our feed and let us know.
I haven't looked either.
That would be dope, actually. Leave your comments and tell us what DC as fuck means to you. To me, you know, I moved here in like 2004. So it's been about 13 to 14 years since I've lived in DC proper, although I was born right outside of DC in Bethesda, and then lived in Greenbelt. So I'm from the area, but it's been about 13 years since I've lived in DC proper. So I definitely consider myself a Washingtonian, but just want to put that out there that you know, my experience, my perspective on the city is shaped over this last decade more so. And since I've been here, you know, the city has been very transient in my perspective. Like, I moved here because I really wanted to be around a large concentration of Black people. I wanted to be around Black people with power. I wanted to be around progressive-minded people who were working on policy and organizing for a better world. And that was all here in DC. So I wanted to like have roots, you know, and stay here. I've always loved this city, always wanted to be here. And then the longer I was here, the more I would see people that I deeply cared about come and go. So I think that is part of DC, but I think that's part of probably most major metropolitan places, you know?
Yeah.
But
Or heavy military and government based
government,
cities.
yeah, definitely, you know, but despite that, I have been fortunate to build a very unique and beautiful community of folks within the arts circle, within the cannabis community, within the service industry of people. And, you know, DC as fuck to me, it's like, I don't know, I've never been anywhere else or lived anywhere else, even in the the DC or Maryland areas, where no matter what you do, what your occupation is, people are conscious as fuck here. Like, people know what is going on. People are in tune with politics. They're just in tune. People are really intelligent here, and it doesn't. And to me, like, that's DC as fuck. And it's part of the reason that I stay here and I love it here. I love being able to have intellectual, meaningful conversations with people where there's no, like, stigma around. Because if you go outside of the district to some of the suburbs or, you know, even a little bit farther out, like, it's, like, impolite to talk about politics, you know?
Yeah.
Or meaning and be passionate about things. And so I really appreciate that about the district and how it's from top to bottom to top. Like, everybody is woke here. And, you know, since I moved here, I got involved with workers' rights policy and advocacy and dealing with the DC City Council and the mayor's office and different administrative offices of the DC government. And, you know, there's a beautiful and a bitter side of local politics here to me too, that signifies, like, it being DC as fuck. You know, DC is one of the most progressive places in the nation.
For sure.
We have a lot of laws that other places in the country don't have yet, you know, that are pushing the envelope, leading the way for other jurisdictions to model themselves after. You know, I'm talking about how we have really strong tenants' rights here, even though to us who are aware, like, we know the problems of DC housing, but we have extremely strong and awesome and beautiful tenants' rights in the district.
For sure.
We have one of the higher minimum wages in the nation. We have universal paid family medical leave that just passed. You know, these are things that in other parts of the country they don't have. And so it's very progressive. It's very exciting. It feels good to be a part of that. At the same time, our leaders, a lot of our leaders, while they're progressive, they're super conservative at the same time, and are always negotiating back, you know, what the ideal vision could be into something that accommodates the developers and the big corporate businesses always. And so that is the part I'm like, it's DC as fuck. You know, we're progressive, but, like, we're still a Southern conservative town at the same time. Like, we live in this contradiction, if you will.
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit of my experience and what DC as fuck signifies to me. Super woke people, super progressive culture and politics, but still a strong air of conservatism.
For sure. It's like DCRA. You know what I mean? You're like, the DCRA is so DC as fuck because it's, like, so corrupt. So, like, it screws everyone over. They have expediters and people you can literally juice on the side to get your shit done faster. Like, and people talk about it like it's not really fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, that is so DC as fuck to me, too. It's, like, this greatest contradiction. But, like, I still love my city because, like, the DMV.
Absolutely.
I love the DMV. Shout out to the DMV. They're killing it right now.
This is a great place to be. It's beautiful. It's diverse here. There's always awesome cultural events going on. This is the place to be.
Very bikeable.
Very bikeable.
Yeah, so, this is my Washingtonian face for all the Washingtonians out there that were born here in the 80s. I sit here straight-faced, DC as fuck.
What does that mean?
Word.
So, albums?
Yes, we can talk about albums. Well, actually, before we talk about albums, I wanted to get an update from y'all. You were at the Ward 5 Democratic.
I was
The
there.
Ward 5 Democrats
I was
meeting.
not there.
Perfect segue.
What
into
happened? What
that,
went
man.
down?
I think that first off, that was my first Democratic meeting that I've attended as a voting Democrat. And Nikki, when you first came to me about running for this position, and I had no idea what it was, and finding out that this is here and it's in every state and places, it's in counties, it's in cities, but this is a nationwide network that has the same job and purpose, no matter where it is. It just really got me interested in local government in that process, So something as small as just coming to your monthly Democratic meeting. So if you're a Democrat, no matter where you live, once a month there's a meeting of the Democrats in the place where you live at. Facts. It has to happen once a month. It will happen. The minutes will be recorded. Robert's Rules of Order. Shout outs to that.
Yep.
It's highly official and it's highly likely to have refreshments. Free.
Yes.
So you should come out, you'll hear directly from the candidates and the people who are representing your place. You'll find out, so much information about what is going on. So in that, we should definitely come to all the different wards meetings and network and just really get to know the concerns of the people who care. It was
Absolutely.
packed at that meeting. It was very packed. There were a lot of people there.
Was that just the Dump Trump slate meeting?
No.
Or that was...
No, this was with all the different people who were running in all the different slates. So we met the Resist folks, and we met I don't remember the name of the third slate.
Me either.
But
Because everyone is voting for the Dump Trump Dems for Action
right.
slate.
You don't need to know the name of that other slate. What slate?
So they were all there. The people who were running independently, they were there as well. The people who were running at large across the city, across the slates independently or whatever.
So it was an
were
endorsement
there,
meeting.
And the nationals were all there. Everybody that was running, many people that were running.
How many people were in
there.
this meeting? It sounds like a big meeting.
Yeah, I mean, all of the people who I mentioned that were running across this ward were there, but then a lot of residents were. So I don't know, it was because of just our all participation and maybe, because so many people are doing it, everybody's talking, but even the people who held the meeting remarked about how full of an audience it was.
That's
and how
awesome.
The word got out on how full it was that other representatives were coming. Anita Bonds had sent a video message. She was not supposed to be there, but she came in person.
Oh, wow.
There was a senator that was running again. There was
shadow senator?
Shadow senator,
Yeah.
Michael
D. Brown. Oh, Michael.
Kenya McDuffie came as well. There were a number of people from other wards, elected officials and whatnot, other people from across our slate from other wards who had come out to represent. And it was very interesting. The first slate that spoke represented the incumbent. Is it called that? Or you only call that after you've lost the election? Or is that
No. An incumbent is someone who is currently in office and who is running again for office. The people that currently hold.
Yes, all of the incumbents went first. And I was pretty intimidated.
But that was like for the at-large and the council chair.
That was for everything.
For everything.
Yeah. the incumbents for everything all across, the committee, women and men.
Okay.
Everybody. So, one of them had that position for over 50 years. She's like the oldest
person on the planet.
Man, shout outs to Miss Romaine Thomas, man. Wonderful, beautiful spirit and light who had a beautiful energy and positive words to share with us after it was all said and done. A number of the persons there, like their whole thing, and it was a really great tactic, and they just spoke of how long they've held this office or other offices, and a very illustrious political career. And I was very much aware of my political ignorance. I'm not a runner. I didn't run for even student government. I'm quite the radical. This is my first time, trying, and only because of, let me take that back. I ran in church, and I'm thankful for participating in my church and understanding how a campaign, is run and how meetings are done and that whole networking, politicking thing. Because it's real, getting up there and being able to speak, being able to answer questions and being put on the spot, man.
I didn't realize all that was going on this week.
It was a lot. I honestly, didn't tell a lot of people because I was very nervous. I was.
Did everybody get up and speak?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Everybody got up and spoke. So the slates had 7 minutes to go, and we had like 8 people in ours. I think there might have been more in the other teams. I think we used our time the best. It didn't seem like that at first because the last person to go, there were 8 of us, and 7 went before time, basically. But the last young lady to go, Janice, she took up like the last 2 minutes. Everybody else was like 30 seconds to a minute. But the Nationals had another chance to go and had 2 minutes to themselves to address the audience. And because of that, we chose to use that time just to have our local people, say their piece. And then he had his own, 2 minutes later. So from the outside, it looked like, everybody, we were running through. And then she took all the time. But when they heard her, say that, hey, you're going to get to hear from him all by himself. He's just standing here to support and in numbers. It gave us another good look like, oh, I like that silent support in numbers and the fact that okay. But our faces, the other team didn't realize what was going on at the time. But I think that also showed a really good thing in us being individuals who all have these different strengths, and that came out in our different addresses and just how we were not parroting the same thing one after another, telling you the same thing, and we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to keep it going because we've been doing it this way for all of these years.
Bringing in new perspectives.
Yeah, it was just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Like, came in
yes.
there. And voice after voice was just fresh, man. Shout outs to Gordon. Shout outs to Walter. He's head of the college Democrats.
That's Walter De Leon
yes.
and Gordon Andrew Fletcher.
Yes.
Both running on the Dump Trump Dems for Action slate.
Right.
Yes.
See, I got to get better with that, Walter De Leon and Gordon Andrew Fletcher running on the Dump Trump slate, DC Dems for Action, because we are about that action. Yes, we are.
Hey, now.
My piece was really short and sweet. I was like, education is key. No, I said, first, my people perish for lack of knowledge. And education is key. Knowledge is power. And when I was first asked to run, I realized that I had no idea what this position was. And if I didn't know, there were many who didn't know. And as I tell people that I'm running, nobody knows what this means. This means that I'm very inspired. I'm very fired up because this is exactly what this position is for. Education. And that's what we're here to do.
Boom! home like a pro. Yes.
Jay Mills.
Did you do that too? That would've been
I
awesome.
wanted to so bad. I just had my blonde hair, and they were like, big blonde.
What?
What?
Well, when you win, you can.
I used my Jay Mills voice, you know? I boomed across the room. I projected. I was verbose. I was an orator.
That's so exciting. I love it. I love it. I love it. This just like brings so much joy to my heart, because the reason I asked you to run, the reason I asked you to run and multiple other people on our slate to run is because I saw something valuable in what you represent in the district, and I just want more people like us to be in positions of leadership, educating people about how to get involved, to take control of their government and their city. And, you know, to me, this is like such an awesome leadership development opportunity, a stepping stone for all of us, you know, to step into that arena. And I hear you stepping into it just so lovely. Like, that's awesome. So for folks who are watching, Jay Mills was just talking about the Ward 5 Democrats meeting that happened last night.
Yes. Bernie Backus.
Wait, that was last night?
That was last night. And this past weekend was the Ward 8 Democrats meeting. So just a little, just to reiterate what Jay was saying, every single ward in D.C. has a Democratic committee. There's the Ward 1 Democrats, the Ward 2 Democrats, the Ward 3 Democrats. Some of them are more active than others. Wards 2, 3, 5, 8, and 7 are very, very active. And but it is election season, so all of them right now are getting ready to or have already done their endorsements. So they make endorsements as groups of who's running for office. So in DC on June 19th, you, DC voters, have the opportunity to vote for a new or incumbent chairman of the Council of DC. This is the most powerful position on the Council of the District of Columbia. The people running for that are Ed Lazier, who is challenging the incumbent Phil Mendelson, who has had that position a very long time. I encourage you to look up both candidates and make the decision for yourself. I personally am endorsing Ed Lazier. He's an amazing guy who has just anything progressive that we actually talk about on the show. Ed Lazier has probably been behind it and helping to make sure that working class people and people of color's voices are represented and translated into the economic language that the council members always need to hear in order to make a decision. Very valuable guy in the Jewish community, married to a fabulous, very strong, powerful black woman, father of 2 black kids, raised his kid in DC public school. It's phenomenal. Check him out, Ed Lazier. And Phil Mendelson, then, the incumbent, who has a, you know, it's not that I don't even like Phil Mendelson. He has done so many great things here in the District of Columbia, including helping to lead the passage of a higher minimum wage, including, you know, helping to win paid sick days here in the district. But as I watch Phil Mendelson over the years, the longer he's in power, the more removed he gets from the actual experiences of people. And so I've heard a shift in who he's accountable to over the last 4 years. He'd be siding with these corporate developers and stuff more often these days. So he's got a challenger, Ed Lazier. You get to decide to vote June 19th. And I'm curious who the Ward 5 Democrats endorse, but that's one of the seats. Also up for election is an at-large council seat. And so the incumbent there, as Jay Mills said, is Anita Bonds. She may be the person.
Oh, yeah. She said she's campaigning. She had some other meetings to go to.
Yes.
Anita Bonds.
She is in campaign mode, and she has been on the DC Council on and off for quite a long time. She is a establishment dynasty candidate in DC. She has 3 challengers. Those challengers are Jeremiah Lowry, Marcus Goodwin, And Aaron Holmes, who apparently did actually make it onto the ballot. He
Aaron Holmes? Oh Lord.
So Aaron and Marcus both were challenged. There's after you collect all your signatures to get on the ballot, then there's a period of time that other candidates or community folks can challenge your signatures. So for example, Calvin Gurley, he was also running for the chairman position of the council, but someone challenged his petition signatures and he actually came up short around 150 or 200 signatures. So he's not on the ballot for the chairman position anymore.
How many signatures did he have to get? Do you know?
I think like 2,000 or something like that.
Oh man.
Yeah. So he was close, but no cigar.
That's a lot of people to talk to. Ask for
It
a
is.
signature. It really is.
It's a lot of work. That's what you got to have your team with you, you know. But so for the at-large position that incumbent Anita Bonds holds and is campaigning to keep her seat, these other three candidates are running, and two of them were challenged, but all three of them actually made it on the ballot. So you have a choice on June 19th of four candidates, four, not three, for the at-large position. That is Anita Bonds, Jeremiah Lowry, Marcus Goodwin, and Aaron Holmes. Look them up. Decide for yourself. I'm endorsing Jeremiah Lowry because he's awesome.
Boom.
And
what does that position do?
The at-large. So the DC City Council is comprised of 8 ward seats and then 4 at-large council seats. So the difference between someone who's at-large and then someone who represents a ward basically is that someone who just represents a ward like Kenyon McDuffie, he's the Ward 5 council member. So he is responsible for the constituents of Ward 5 and Ward 5 primarily. He's on a committee to vote for all different types of legislation, but his primary focus is Ward 5. And he's responsible for all the constituent services responsible like in Ward 5's area. An at-large candidate isn't beholden to any one ward. They represent the city at large, and they focus more on citywide issues than particular ward, constituent services. So like Kenyon McDuffie or Brandon Todd, like they deal with trash complaints and city infrastructure complaints, specific to their ward, whereas like an at-large candidate, they don't really have that level of accountability. So that's really the difference. Just broader representation, but less actually having to touch folks. So there's an at-large position that you can vote for. And then...
So Vincent Orange, what was his position? He was an at-large.
Vincent Orange was at-large, and he was just an at-large member. He used to represent Ward 5, but that was multiple election seasons. Vincent Orange lost his seat almost 2 years ago and is now the CEO of the DC Chamber of Commerce.
I love that look on your face.
Yeah, I'm upset about it because he lost his election and he was championing a fair hours and scheduling bill for my organization that represented all these retail workers. And we're trying to get fair hours and scheduling rights for workers in these big box corporations that have scheduling technology. They can do this easy. He was carrying this bucket for us and he lost his election. And then like our opponents literally bought him. And so bye bye.
DC as fuck right
That's
there.
DC as fuck right there for you. So, but there's other positions that are up right now. So in is Kenyon? I don't think Kenyon McDuffie is up for election right now. Or is it? I know that Ward 6 is up for election, and that's Charles Allen, and he does have a challenger. And who else? Oh, Brianne Nadeau in Ward 1 is up, and she has some challengers.
I think she was there.
And
who's challenging her? Do you know?
In Ward 1, Sheikah Reed
Oh,
and Dion Reeder I believe.
That's right, she could read.
Yes.
We should get her on the show sometime if you guys want. Or are we staying away from political guests?
I mean, we have political guests on here. We're political guests. We
guests?
are political
Oh,
guests.
snap.
I want to support Chica. I know she came to like our happy hour. I know she's, good friends with some of the folks on our slate. But, we should have her on here and have
Ask
a
her
nice,
some
accountable.
questions.
Yeah, we should ask her some questions because her and Marcus Goodwin are endorsed by Muriel Bowser's The Green Machine. And so that, to me, is a little suspect. And no offense to anyone who's down with Muriel Bowser team, but I have some issues with the mayor and how she represents.
Isn't that up for re-election also?
Yes, the mayor's is up for re-election. She has, I know she has people who
Did
are
that crazy guy get on the ballot?
challenging.
Manly.
I have to follow up, and this is actually a shout out. I wanted to give people some resources because there's so much going on in DC politics and with the elections. So I wanted to let folks know like who they could follow to tune in and just learn more about what's happening. If you're on Twitter, a really good person to follow is Martin Ostermule. And I'll spell that for you. But he's a reporter. And so he is constantly at the DC Council and just like following what is going on there and tweeting it out and reporting and writing about it publicly. Again, that's Martin Ostermule. You can
Look it up right now.
You can find him on Twitter at M Ostermule. And that's MAUSTERMUHLE. Again, that's MAUSTERMUHLE. Follow Martin Ostermule. He is definitely the person to follow if you want like up to the minute updates about who got enough signatures and who said what about what policy. He's all up in it. Another great show to follow is Kojo Namdi, and definitely follow him at Kojo Show on Twitter, on Facebook, all of that. Kojo Namdi Show is a really great place to hear different perspectives on issues impacting the district from lots of different experts and panelists. A beloved show here in the district. For those of you who don't know, check them out. So we are going to, and then of course, last but not least, there's the DC Democratic State Committee, of which Molly, Nikki, and Mills are all running for. We are running together on the Dump Trump Dems for Action slate. And you should learn more about us individually and collectively at our website at demsforaction.com. That's Dems, DEMS, for FOR, action, ACTION, .nationbuilder.com. Actually, I said it wrong. Yeah, it's demsforaction.nationbuilder.com. Google us, Dump Trump, Dems for Action. You'll see it. It'll pop up. And if you can find it in your heart and in your budget, donate $5 to us right now. We need to print all of these leaflet cards because on Election Day, June 19th, we're going to be out there covering the polls, handing out our information, shaking hands with people, and answering your questions. So if you can donate $5 to help us actually make that happen, help us print these pamphlets, help us get water and food to make sure we're taking care of our volunteers, it would be greatly, greatly appreciated.
Indeed.
Again, that's demsforaction.nationbuilder.com. So that's our little political plug for today, our little educational session. So
that's our business shout out.
We can have more business shout outs.
Send $5 to Dems for Action.
Yes. But, I did want to talk a little bit more about
that business. We did have a business shout out.
Who's the business shout out you want to shout out? Oh, yeah, that's right.
I didn't think I'd remember that.
The glasses.
Solfeggio frequencies. Still listening. Still meditating.
Bam.
Yeah.
In it.
Well, actually, Molly, tell us about the glasses while we're doing business shout outs. Tell us about the amazing price and where you can get affordable lens wear.
So it's a website called Zenni Optical, Zenni. And you print this little thing and you measure how big your head is and your pupillary distance. And you put that in and you can search your frames and just plug your prescription in. And it'll give you super cheap options. They start at like $8.95 for the frames, and they go up based on how bad your eyesight is, probably. Like, I think if you have a heavier duty prescription, they get a little bit more expensive, but they're still under $100. Frame, prescription, everything. But like these glasses were actually $14.95. The ones I normally wear are $18.95, but they're plastic and they're durable as a mug, and they don't leave welts in my nose, and they're $19.
Hey,
so you can't even.
That's
be
hella
mad at that.
affordable.
It is affordable. So
because I've been like delaying going back to the eye doctor to get new frames because I'm like, oh, do I really have $200 right now?
And 200 is low, man. Every time I've gotten eyewear from the doctor, it's been like $500, man.
Yeah, the thing that's crappy about eyewear and in general is that like insurance, like no matter what insurance plan you have, it doesn't really ever cover like the full price of anything dental or vision care.
Your deductible can be nice. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But still, it doesn't make sense to me why vision and dental are like separate, because they're clearly a part of your body and a really important aspect of your health.
What?
Like they're two senses.
It's major.
You kind of need these things to experience.
Yes.
If you get a toothache and shit.
It's like the gateway to your whole body. So your brain and everything, So I don't get it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that
cheap glasses
Zenni Optical is a place you can get some
glasses, because I never would have thought that those frames were that much. I definitely drop bread on glasses.
Exactly, because they're important. I did damage to my eyes wearing my contacts for like too long, and like, I didn't like the glasses I had. I never wanted to wear them, and then I got some like Ray-Ban Wayfarer glasses. And they were like $400, and I liked them. But they like sit differently on your face, and they're like super heavy, and they would give me headaches and shit. And then I just got like the exact same style on Zenni for $18, $19. And I have like 4 pairs, so like
Zenni,
if I break one, I'm not super fucked, you know what I mean? I'm like, let me just find another pair. And you can get them engraved, like you can have them like say shit on the inside or outside, and they have like all different color frames. It's kind of lit. So if you don't like the way you look because you've been struggling with your glasses, if you don't like them, or if you can't see, go to Zenni Optical, because they will
hook you
Zenni
up.
Optical,
yes.
Zenni Optical. The working class person's
Where are they located?
Ray-Ban.
It's a website, so who knows, honestly.
I thought it was like a store somewhere. My bad. No wonder it's so cheap.
Yeah.
Zenni Optical.
Coming from anywhere to the District of Columbia. Get it. Well, it's expensive to live in the District of Columbia, so shout out to any place where you can get something affordable in DC.
Thank you, world.
For real.
Thank you, World Wide Web.
Straight up.
Internet.
But I do want to transition and talk a little bit about. Actually, I'm gonna shout out DJ Saucy because I was following her on the Facebook today, and she posted a question that really made me excited, and it was over the last 2 years, like what albums have come out that you really enjoy from top to bottom, like the whole album. There's a lot of dope albums that come out where you're like, oh, I like 4 or 5 of the songs on there, but that you can just enjoy listening to the whole thing from beginning to end.
Awaken My Love.
Yes, by Childish Gambino. Beautiful from top to bottom. Absolutely. That was one of the that was one of the albums I posted on her comment blog as well.
Nice.
So I'll let y'all think about that for a minute, because I want to hear what albums you really like. I don't know why I'm just kind of groping the air like this. It's happening. And sorry, James, I didn't mean to scare you. But
Like caressing my aura.
Whoa.
I'm helping you
Oh,
in your juices. Think about the album, your brain
said that.
juices, your aura juices.
Aura juices.
Excuse me. I'm sorry for that, everyone.
Consent
I
is
liked
everything.
Her. That album was nice.
I haven't listened to it yet, but I keep seeing
Who is
it.
that?
HER. Shout outs to Broccoli City this weekend. She's one of the people that'll be performing.
Nice.
She's like a female R&B mad villain, yo.
Oh, shit.
I like how that sounds.
In terms of from what I understand, you know, she keeps her face covered. People don't know
Oh, shit.
what she looks like, and yet she does shows. So I'm like, yo, how is this happening?
Mysterious.
And she's in charge of her own sound, doing her own production, and her music. The songs just flow one into another. And I guess number 3 will be Solange.
Of course.
That's another
Always.
album. She made an album with interludes.
Best interludes
and
of all
things.
time.
Yeah. You know, she brought it back one time for the culture. Yeah.
Yes, I gotta write down the Her album. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I want to check that out.
Yeah. Let me see what the title of it is. I was surprised. My friend put me on to Party Next Door. Like,
Really?
yeah, I never like sought out that music, but
Me
I
either.
downloaded the album and it was
It
surprisingly
was
dope.
popping. Party Next
It
Door.
was surprisingly dope.
Which
But,
album though?
Okay. Pulling up album names. Let's see. So, what was the first one? What were we looking for?
Her.
Party Next Door and
Her and Party Next Door.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah! Shout outs to the Spring Collection from Currency. Shout outs to Acoustic Levitation by Devin the Dude. For sure. If you a Devin the Dude fan, you love Devin the Dude music, and you haven't heard his latest project, Acoustic Levitation, you need to get that. You need to save it. It's Devin again. It made me feel like his To the Extreme made me feel. You know, it definitely took it back to that old vintage timeless solo Devin.
Yes. That's on my list of things to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
I've been meaning
Her.
to.
Oh, that's the name of the album. Her.
Her.
H-E-R. Yeah, and then who else did I just say?
Party Next Door.
JK. 7 days.
7 days. All right, folks. There you have it. Suggestions from Jay Mills. Albums top to bottom that are beautiful and nice and poppin' to listen to.
Yep.
Her, Party Next Door, 7 days. Devin the Dudes, Acoustic Levitation.
Yes.
Awaken My Love,
Yes.
Childish Gambino,
Yes.
and A Seat at the Table by
Yes.
Solange.
Yes.
If you don't know, now you know. For myself, I have to say Invasion of Privacy by Cardi B.
You know, I was thinking of that, and I was going to let it go.
Top to
'cause
bottom.
It does. Though.
Top to bottom,
It
it's
really
popping.
does. It really does. It really does.
I know we talked about the album dropping when she almost was on the show, but shout it out again. That album is hot.
It is.
Top to bottom. And you know what else? Right now, I Like It Like That is on the radio. Bartier Cardi is on the radio. The song with SZA, I Do, is on the radio. I've heard all these songs on the radio.
I do.
Bickenhead is on the radio.
Get some bread.
And then, of course, Bodak Yellow.
Say nope.
it's
You
just-
can't me if you wanted to.
It's top to bottom.
It's expensive.
I feel like they could release every track on that on the except for
Amazing.
maybe
I
Get
wish
Up
I could do
10,
that.
but Get Up 10 is my favorite song, which is the very first song on the album. It's just like so real. But anyway,
Get up 10.
Invasion of
All
Privacy,
back lab, like, get up 10.
Cardi B.
Yeah.
The Kids Are All Right by Chloe and Halle. Top to bottom, it's really beautiful. Chloe and Halle are these two like violin and cello playing twins that make like hip hop, transcendental, electronic, orchestral, ethereal music. That's how I would describe it. And Beyonce is huge fans of them and has endorsed them. And it's kind of like,
refer to Beyonce in plural.
did I?
Yes.
I did. Well, she is all. So you know.
And her name like
but-
she's a country.
But anyway, I
The
definitely
Beyonce's truly a large fan of hers.
yes. Well, she is, but the kids are all right. It's a really beautiful album, and I highly, highly recommend you take a look at it. Also, Flower Boy by Tyler the Creator.
Yeah. Wow.
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 Yeah, it's so I was talking to my husband, shout out 06 Chris, and my amazing mentee, Natalia Bokum. And we were talking about Tyler, the Creator, and kind of like his different faces and presentations and ideas. And, he came out with what Chris is calling horror rap, how we kind of started out, like his music videos would be like kids throwing up and eating roach heads and stuff like that. I never saw any of that stuff. My very first introduction to Tyler the Creator is the Flower Boy album. I've never heard any of his music previously. So now I feel like I got to go back and look at it. But apparently this album sounds different from what he has created in the past.
Yes, it's awesome.
But this album is beautiful. It makes me happy and singing. So check it out, Flower Boy. And then I also want to shout out Odyssey's album from last year, The Iceberg, yo. Yeah. It's a really great album, top to bottom. The lyrics are tight as usual. I think the album is about like what's below the surface, the intricacies of life. Like all of the songs are just beautiful. So, shout out to Odyssey from the DMV.
I love Odyssey.
Thank you for doing what you do. And then, check out the live version of The Iceberg, which is called Beneath the Surface, which is also very nice. Those are my recommendations.
Those are all awesome. We should put these in the notes on like the YouTube video.
They're on notes. We'll put them on
I
the.
want to watch all of, or listen to all of that.
Yes,
show.
we should have a Molly Nikki Mills, top recommendations.
Oh man, I'm really about to let you
Molly
down.
Nickel, MNM music notes.
Yes. Wait, what?
Music notes.
MNM.
Oh, I got it.
MNM. Yes.
Eminem.
Music notes.
Yes.
That could be like his whole own show.
It could be. I would not be a good host.
But we're at One Love Massive, the home of sound and music. Here in the District of Columbia. So I know you got some opinions about great albums that have come out.
I'm about to really let you down. I don't really listen to albums. I don't listen to music that's coming out. It's not that I'm like against it. Well, no, I could talk to you about like the project that EU put out that's not necessarily an album. I could talk to you about Wednesday's work in the studio and the songs of hers that I really love.
Talk to us about that.
But as far as like, I'm definitely out of the loop. But I want to listen to all those albums. They sound great. I just never know where to start with new stuff, and I'm always inundated with other stuff. And then when I'm here, it's all music, and when I'm on my bike, I strictly listen to reggae just to like keep my vibes. Yeah, man, because like riding a bike, a lot of times is like really pleasant and fun and nice and it's cool.
Hella stressful.
And then sometimes it's like you just get the worst of people. So I choose very carefully what I listen to on the bike to help guide the vibe. And I have no problem listening to the same thing over and over and over and over again. You can ask my roommates. They probably hate me.
Tell us about what's going on with EU and Wednesday, though. Those are two super dope local DC artists. Got a lot of respect for them. What's poppin'?
I mean, EU's been cranking out some really amazing music. He's got some more stuff coming up. He's writing constantly. I feel like he's really getting in his groove. I'm excited to see what he's about to do. He did a 24-hour rap session for his birthday where he rapped for 25 hours. Yeah, man, he's superhuman, man.
He's an Aquarius.
He's one of my favorite people as well. I really, really enjoy Sir EU's energy and friendship and all of that. Pinky's got a project that she's working on that she's about to put out with original music and working with bands and stuff. So that's super exciting because previously she's done a lot of mixtapes on other people's beats and crushed it.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy because I know all of, like, Pinky's songs, so then I hear, like, the actual version
You
of
be
them,
singing
and I'm
Pinky's
like,
version.
And I'm like, oh, where's Pinky?
Yes.
It's like Solange is one of them, and that's kind of crazy.
I know.
I'm more familiar with Pinky's mixtape tracks, like, because of her than anything else. But Wednesday, she put out well, she hasn't put it out, but she performed at Beyond Studios, a song called Twice that is just, like, talks to me, to my core, to my absolute core. It just really made me fall in love with Wednesday. Like, she's been in the building since we built the studio. She works with Kofi and, you know, was in and out. And then it was just really hearing her music. It just stopped me dead in my tracks. And just, like, every time I hear that song, it just gets me. It's just so powerful. And so really getting to know her, I'm just so amazed by her energy and her spirit, and, like, her, you know, sisters and, like, the people around her are all just, like, young, powerful, like, creative, intelligent, young black women. And they're just, like, so dope for so many different reasons. And just to see such a supportive community and such a, I mean, Wednesday's just such a dope artist. I mean, she's just got such an incredible voice and stage presence, and she's got a lot of good people around her, you know, who are going to make sure she's okay. So it's exciting to see that generation of music, you know, with Pinky and EU and Wednesday even looking out for each other, working with each other, and really setting the tone for, like, that next wave of talent coming out of the city. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
Big fan of all of their work, so, you know, I'm definitely stoked.
Definitely folks to
yeah.
all follow. Pinky Killicorn, Sir
Yep,
EU.
yep.
And Wednesday, that's WINDZ.
No, it's WINZDAY.
Aha.
Wednesday. Yeah.
Yes.
Wednesday Love. She's super dope. Micah Doom just put out a video single today called Mona Lisa, and it's super dope. It's, like, really punk rock, and I really fucking like it. It's very catchy. I'm excited to listen to that again.
From DC also?
Yeah, Micah Doom, DMV artist. I mean, it's, you know, I could go on for days with all the different artists. Excited to work with T.O.B. for Funk Parade. They're gonna headline our stage outside.
Hey.
And T.O.B. and EU are actually gonna perform together. So I'm really excited about that.
Sir
as
EU?
well. Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, and T.O.B. So unannounced information.
It's about to be a hot summer.
Yeah, man, I got some big plans, some big goals. I'm trying to make some records and do some things, so all these collaborations are really good. But yeah, my focus is super hyper local, or I just listen to Midnight and Chronics.
All right.
Yeah, and Bob Marley. That's all I do.
That's good classic stuff, though. Well, thank you for sharing, ladies. And I'm curious, you know, if you who are watching, you have some albums that from top to bottom you think are super hot and want to share that information out with us so we can highlight it on the show or just share it with other people, type it on in the comments there. And I think something has been birthed today is the MNM
Music notes.
Music notes. A review that we're gonna start doing here on the show more frequently, because there's just so much music that is
Dope as
coming out all the time that is dope as fuck. And you know, we were talking about politics and all this stuff earlier on the show. Well, it can bog you down sometimes, all the shit and corruption that happens, and we need music to uplift us and help us. For people like me, you heard me singing earlier. I'm not that great, so I need other people to sing
I
so
think
I
you're
can.
a fantastic singer.
Well, thank you, Molly.
No.
Doobie dooey doo.
Oh.
It's too much. Too much. Well, so yeah. We need music in our lives. So we want to talk about it, and we want to
Super
hear
important.
what uplifts you and what you think is beautiful and super dope as well. I wanted to ask you, Jay Mills, you had mentioned something a couple weeks ago. You were just thinking about how women a lot of times are unrecognized for their greatness, for the work that they do. What were you thinking about? What did you see or hear, or what inspired you to like comment about that? What was going on?
The Bible.
Okay.
It was just the first example I thought of the unnamed woman. There are many unnamed women who did miraculous things, and they're simply referred to as the woman. Miracles cured in their lives, and they were just called the woman, the wife of such and such. Not named individually, but still, miraculous things were done.
Happened to a friend of mine this week.
Was referred to as the wife of someone.
Wasn't even referred to as all. That's the man in the story was referred to as a co-owner of a space. Yeah, just written right on out of the story.
Happens
as if she
happens a
didn't
lot.
exist. It's a sister-brother relationship.
Yeah.
Your lip got a little tight there.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, yeah.
It's that Irish lip.
Yeah, I see it happen all the time too. In the policy organizing nonprofit world, even though women run social justice for real in this country, a lot of times they do the work and don't get recognized for it. They don't get the public credit for it. They don't get the story written about them. So you were just reading the Bible, reflecting on that.
Yeah. No, I honestly don't remember what caused us to go into that segue about that. Just when you asked me that was something. I don't know. Like, was it? It's not. It's like a whole topic we were supposed to.
No, you
mentioned it, I was like, yeah.
You just like texted us on the thread and was like, I'm just thinking about this, and I was like, I want to know why she's thinking about that, or like what prompted it. It's just because I care to know more about you and your thought process, not necessarily that we have to do a whole show on it.
I gotta scroll back up and get to know me and who I was then.
Yes.
Once more, because I had me mistaken in what I thought I was talking about and what it was.
Maybe
but now
I
that you brought it up
misinterpreted
in context, I'm like, oh, let me read back, because I do think it was something kind of specific. Like I was just like talking about women that people might not have known, or facts about women that people might not have known.
Yeah.
Like Harriet Tubman was a model.
I did not know that.
Age, she was beautiful.
Interesting.
It's
Well,
super random, but cool.
It is super random, but this is a random show, and that's how we do. This is real life organic conversations, and we always get wisdom nuggets in the most unexpected ways.
I mean, I use that word very loosely given the time, and what we would consider to be a model. But she was taken to be beautiful, and she was painted when she was young. That's not they want the look of struggle.
I know.
It's a story they want to sell. Shout outs to Harriet Tubman, though.
Always.
I think I'm gonna make. I know what I'm gonna do for my metaphysical moment now.
Are you ready?
Oh.
Because it's about that time.
Wait.
It's 10:20, so.
You had that we weren't done. You had more to talk about. Right? Okay.
Sure.
No.
You need a minute?
No.
Well, I can talk about an unsung.
Who's an unsung hero?
I don't know if she's like a hero per se, but there's a reggae artist, Desiree, and she's married to Ron Benjamin, who's Vaughn Benjamin's wife. So Vaughn and Ron played at midnight, and they toured the world for years. But she is also a reggae artist and put out music many, many years ago, and then recently put out an album. And when she's around, like, all the Rastas like bow to her and respect her, and they call her like the mother, the mother of reggae. But she just like
I don't know her name.
had because she had babies, and raised a family with her husband, And so I don't know, I'm sure that was her choice. I don't know. It's not even about that, but just to like be considered the mother of reggae, right? And to like put that aside and to raise a family. You know what I mean? I feel like that was a sacrifice that she made. That's just like, I don't such a big deal. You know what I mean? Because her music is powerful and her voice is powerful, but so is her husband's skill equally, because he toured in a band that toured all over the world and impacted people in a very, so it's not like a bad thing. It's not like, you know what I mean? But it's a tremendous sacrifice, and I wonder what music the world missed out on, or what inspiration could have came from that, or how she felt to do that, no matter how much she loved her kids, or how she felt about it. You know what I mean? So maybe not a hero of sorts, but it's just a good reminder that a lot of women, you know, make a lot of sacrifices for a lot of different reasons.
Absolutely.
But always seem to, you know, hold down the fort, man. Always, you know. Obviously not always, but, you know, that maternal instinct is really strong. And I know a lot of women make a lot of sacrifices. So.
True that.
Yeah.
Somehow I'm going to have this baby and still keep doing what I do. I'm not giving up. I don't make reggae music, but I'll still sing for you, J Mills.
Your baby's going to love it. Your baby already loves it, probably.
You don't have to do that.
Does she move around at all when you sing?
Ooh, girl, I'll sing for you when you want me to.
Is she getting better?
Yes.
I mean, practice makes perfect.
My career is about to take off.
Wouldn't that be crazy if, like, you had the baby and, like, suddenly, like, your pitch was, like, perfect?
Perfect.
It happens. Watch.
To be
I should
continued.
not have told her to look at her eyebrows.
It is possible.
Still have a chance
It's
to
the
be
lullaby.
Beyonce. It's
I don't
not
know what
over.
it is, but, like, you know how all moms hum.
Yes.
You be a humming ass mom.
Ooh, child.
Nah, yeah.
She said hum.
It's like, no, your voice is beautiful.
Way better
Thank
than
you.
mine. Way better than mine.
Show.
That's for sure. Yeah, see? You can't even sound as bad
It's
as I do
baritone.
trying. It's baritone
Robust.
and tone deaf and just headed in the wrong direction every time. And hurts for me to hear it.
Oh, man. Metaphysical moments.
Yes,
I had a couple different thoughts. At first I was thinking about Harriet Tubman, and I was thinking about the different states of mind that people can have in terms of the fact that everybody doesn't want to be free.
True that. What
You
did
know-
Harriet Tubman say? She said,
I could have freed 1,000 more if
they knew they were slaves, right? Yeah. Some people are comfortable. I'm like taking over your metaphor. I'm not taking over, but I'm inspired by it.
Because you see what it is. But I don't know. As I started rapping more around that, or more around my mind, I'm like, you know what? This is not going to go up. It's going to go down. I don't even want to dwell on that. I'm going to switch it up as I see what's happening with the elements. Shout outs to the herbs. Shout outs to cannabis. We coming off a 420 weekend, and I'm going to dedicate my 420 to the magical properties of this herb and the ethereal natures of humanity as exhibited through all of the different ways that we can enjoy this wonderful plant that came from the earth for the sole purpose of elevating our minds. It's one of a whole family of plants and animals and fruits that can open up your mind to different portals of reality, different ideas and focus. And this battle that we are fighting right now here in the nation's capital, where we have the right to grow this plant in limited quantity, to share this plant, to give it to somebody for free. For free, and it's legal, and you consume it in a house, and it's legal, and this is happening right now. What a time to be alive.
Facts.
there's been a war. There still is a war. They have not suspended the war against drugs. We have been living in a war. We've been living in a war where we've been traumatized in ways that we're just now wrapping our minds around. Shout outs to the Cannabis Festival again. And all these things that are happening right now. And the sadness that for everything that I'm doing, I think of how many people are sitting in a jail cell right now because they're doing exactly what I did for that. There are people who are locked up for a J, for a bag, for a zone. That's for a pound, for plants. Their lives. And here we are, partaking in the nation's capital. And we are armed for battle. You as a human here on this earth, here to shine, you are armed for battle in ways that we've been taught to kind of dismiss. You know, we're taught to dismiss the fact that we are special. Each and every human being that has breath to breathe is special. You are blessed with life and you don't have to have it. We're very, very much made aware of that when you look at that body that has no life. It has every single thing that you're supposed to have to be a human except that spark called life. What is it that really makes you you? It's not being a woman. It's not being from DC. It's not being a Gemini. It's not any of that. But somehow that eternal is that decided to walk around in a bodysuit, decided to come here on a specific day. Why? Out of all these elements, you know, we have this plant that grew from the earth and we set fire to it and we blow it up in the air. You know, it needs the water to grow. We all chose a particular element, and it is our strengths and our weaknesses that make us great when we come together. It takes all types to bring us together in this relative realm. We came from the absolute, and we chose some things. Shout outs to the air. Shout outs to the air signs and you choosing if you chose to be an air sign. I guess I'm starting with that because I'm a Gemini, you know. So for the Geminis and the Aquarians and the Libras, you chose to be air. You need air to breathe. Air is everywhere. You know, the sky, they say the sky is the limit. Well, the sky is an illusion. There actually is no sky. There's no sky. Air is everywhere. It's in outer space. It's here and now. It goes where it wants to go. It can be cold. It can freeze. It can be hot. It can burn. It can cool in a second. It can heat just like that. Air is mutable, transmutable. In different seasons, there's different airs. And when you are this person and you have this ability to move and to rise up and to ignite passion and to cool off and to modulate, there are things that come along with that gift. Somebody looked up at the people up in the air and said, but water, though. Water is life. While you up here being in the air, blowing all around, you know, the people need water for life. Shout outs to my water signs. Shout outs to my Cancers. Shout outs to my Scorpios. Shout outs to my Pisces. You all know what people need, and you also know that most people don't know what they need. They know what they want, though. Oh, people know what they want, though. They don't know what they need. Most people, when they get what they want, they find out that it wasn't what they needed. How hard does your heart get broken? Man, pieces. So then came the earth signs. Look at here, water. While you up here dreaming, this is real. Mm-hmm. This is what's real because we're here now. Okay? Let me hold it down. Let me hold it down. While y'all up here, air signs just dreaming, water sign just crying or frozen or rain or a cloud just doesn't know what it wants to do. Let me be a mountain. Let me be the sand. Let me be the foundation. Let me hold it down. Shout outs to my earth signs. Shout outs to the Capricorns. Shout outs to the Taurus. Shout outs to the Virgos. Shout outs to those that keep it real and know that they are the backbone when everything and everyone is crazy. You are rational. But remember to smile, yeah. Shout outs to those who remember to stay silly. And then beneath it all, at the core of it all, there was a fire. There was a fire that said, remember you are a star, motherfucker. Stars are born, not made. At the heart of all of it, you're a ball of fire. Get hot. Be passionate about life. God damn it. Shout outs to my fire signs, yo. Shout outs to the fact that we are made of all of these elements. You are not just simply this one thing, you know? That's your sun sign. But the moon was somewhere when you were born. All the planets were somewhere. The entire celestial universe lined up in such a way that it only did for you and only you at this particular cross between longitude and latitude on this place called Earth. The stars lined up for you. And that goes for everybody. You are magical. And you chose to be magical. We are all super magical in our own ways, and your strengths can be your weaknesses. And your weaknesses are actually your strengths. You are super in all ways. We are all made to shine. And so oftentimes we're not taught to appreciate life. In this earth, we're not taught to appreciate life. You think that life you don't think it's a gift, you think it's a given. Something that somebody gave to you and you can give it back. Something you can get and be like, I don't want it. Yeah. Never mind. Guess what? Life is precious. Life is precious. And for everyone who is here, it's important because there can be so many different circumstances that you can look at upon your life and wonder why. And I find myself saying this often, you know, it's only with pressure. It is only with pressure that you can become a diamond. So if you come here saying that I wanted to shine, you had to know beforehand. You had to know that you needed to be born into a life that would give you the pressure that would allow you to manifest this shine. You asked for it because you knew that you could overcome it. You knew that you could be better than and you could be beyond this. You negotiated everything to make you better. Believe that. Like we said before, the only difference is your idea and your belief. For everything you've gone through, there's someone that's gone through more and is doing so much better. Your perspective is your reality. For real. We got some first world problems up here. We don't even know what real struggle is for real. Oh my goodness, living in America. Wow. But it's perspective. We got to be thankful at all times. Be grateful at all times, no matter what, no matter where. It's amazing how we can go to other places where they do not have these things, but they have the brightest smiles and the most joy, and they'll give you all of what little they have. Meanwhile, you have people who have everything and want to give you nothing. Whew. What a time to be alive, yo. Be the change, be the love, be the shine that you were born to be, yo. Be you in all your glorious awesomeness. Shout outs to the May babies. It's about to be our time. Shout outs to the Tauruses and shout outs to the Geminis. Yes.
Twerk.
I know, wait, it's supposed to be metaphysical, but it's almost my birthday.
Twerking is metaphysical.
It literally is metaphysical. I could do a whole nother metaphysical on the
twerk.
Like I said, yo, if life is divine, right?
Make that big booty
if
twerk.
Life is divine, what makes life?
Twerking.
I'm just saying, that must be pretty heavenly then.
It is.
It must be sacred, the act that brings about life. Sex is not it's not disrespectful. It is never supposed to be disrespectful, no matter how nasty. You like that shit.
Ah!
It doesn't matter.
We're definitely going to be revisiting twerking in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jay Mills, for that wisdom nugget filled metaphysical moment.
Full of nuggets.
It was. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Nuggets. Wisdom filled.
Wisdom filled.
Wisdom-filled
Wisdom.
nuggets.
Wisdom.
We hope folks enjoy the show today.
Nuggets.
We hope you learned something. We hope you reflected on what your favorite albums were. We hope you learned a little bit about what's going on with DC politics. And we love you. Thank you for tuning in. And we will see you next Tuesday. Peace out.
Yep.
Peace out.
Peace out.